I was told to stay away from you, but the warmth of your touch made it impossible to listen to anything but the beating of my own heart. I knew better than to let myself fall, but your touch opened a door to a place I never wanted to leave. Though I was warned, your touch whispered a truth to my soul that no one could take away. In the face of every warning, your touch became my truth, and with every second in your presence, I found myself lost in the unthinkable. They warned me that your touch would change everything, but no one ever told me it would make me feel so alive. Your touch was the storm I couldn't avoid, no matter how hard I tried. And when it came, it swept me away into something beautiful, something unthinkable. Despite all the warnings, it was your touch that broke through the walls I had built around my heart, leaving me vulnerable, yet craving more. They told me to stay away from you, but your touch was the fire I needed to light my soul and set me free. I tried to resist the pull, to follow the warnings, but your touch made everything else feel so insignificant, so I gave in. Every warning was drowned out by the softness of your touch, and in that moment, I realized I was never meant to stay away from you. I knew what I was supposed to do, but your touch made everything else seem unimportant, and for once, I allowed myself to be consumed by the unthinkable. They warned me, they cautioned me, but your touch made me believe in a love that no one could prepare me for. I was taught to stay away, but when your touch lingered on my skin, all I could think of was how deeply I wanted to stay. The world warned me that you were dangerous, but your touch was so soothing, so tender, that I couldn't imagine my life without it. Despite all the reasons to resist, your touch broke down every barrier and filled me with a passion I couldn't ignore. I tried to stay away, but your touch became a language of its own, one that I couldn't resist no matter how many warnings I heard. Though they warned me to keep my distance, the connection between us felt undeniable, and your touch was a reminder of that every time you reached for me. I was warned, I was told to turn back, but in your touch, I found a comfort that I couldn't find anywhere else in the world. The warning signs were clear, but your touch gave me the courage to break all the rules I had set for myself. I was told to stay away, to guard my heart, but your touch made me forget everything I thought I knew about love and life. Every warning was drowned out by the electricity between us, and with every touch, I was reminded that I had made the unthinkable decision to stay. Though they warned me of the consequences, your touch was the one thing I knew I couldn't live without. I tried to fight it, I tried to stay away, but when your hand brushed mine, I realized I had already crossed the line. Every warning I heard faded away the moment your lips touched mine, leaving me with nothing but the feeling of something unthinkable but irresistible. I was told to stay away, but the touch of your skin against mine made every reason to leave feel irrelevant. Every fiber of my being screamed to walk away, but your touch made me forget why I was even hesitating in the first place. I tried to resist, but your touch had a way of quieting the doubts in my mind, making every warning seem like a distant memory. Despite every warning, your touch was an undeniable pull, one that I couldn't ignore, no matter how hard I tried. They warned me you would lead me astray, but your touch was a path I was willing to follow, even if it led me into the unknown. I was told to stay away from you, but in that moment, when your hand reached for mine, I knew I couldn't keep my distance any longer. Every warning rang in my ears, yet your touching was like a melody that drowned out everything else, leaving only us in the silence. Though I knew better than to give in, your touch whispered promises that I couldn't resist, no matter how much I fought it. I tried to follow the rules, to heed the warnings, but your touch pulled me into a world where nothing else mattered but the way we fit together. They told me you were trouble, but every time you touched me, I found peace I didn't know existed, and I couldn't leave that behind. I was warned about the danger of your touch, but the way you held me made me feel safe, even in the chaos. No one understood why I couldn't stay away, but every time your skin met mine, it was as if the universe itself was telling me I was where I needed to be. Though I was told to be careful, your touch made me feel like I was exactly where I belonged, no matter what the world said. They said I was being reckless, but your touch was a truth I couldn't ignore, and with each passing moment, I found myself falling deeper. I tried to ignore the warnings, convinced I was strong enough to resist, but when your touch grazed my skin, it awakened something in me I couldn't control. They said I should stay away from you, but your presence is magnetic, and with every touch, I find myself surrendering to the temptation of the unknown. In the moment I was told to stay away, I realized that your touch was the one thing I couldn't escape. It was the unthinkable, yet I found myself falling deeper. Though I knew it was wrong to be near you, your touch had an unspoken power, one that made my heart race and my mind forget everything but us. They warned me to keep my distance, but your touch ignited a fire within me that I could no longer ignore. The unthinkable felt like the only option. Every warning echoed in my mind, but the moment your fingers brushed against mine, I knew I couldn't stay away. no matter the cost. I had every reason to listen to the warnings, but in your embrace, I found an irresistible truth that no one could have prepared me for. I heard the whispers of danger, but your touch silenced all doubt, pulling me into a world where I couldn't resist the unthinkable. They said I should stay away, that you weren't meant for me, but in that fleeting moment, your touch made me believe in something greater than caution. I tried to ignore the warnings, to stay strong, but every touch from you was a reminder of the unspoken connection between us. Though I was told to stay away, your touch had a way of making me forget every reason why. In your arms, I felt like I was exactly where I was meant to be. The warnings were loud and clear, but your touch was louder, and in that moment, I couldn't think of anything but the way you made me feel. They told me to walk away, but when your hand grazed my cheek, the unthinkable became the only thing I wanted. Your touch, your love, your everything. Despite all the reasons to turn away, the electricity of your touch overwhelmed me, and the unthinkable happened. I stayed. I knew the risks, I knew the consequences, but your touch made all of it fade away into nothingness, leaving only the desire for more. Every word told me to stay away, but your touch reached places inside me that no warning could ever guard against. I was warned, I was cautioned, but when your hands met mine, the world seemed to pause, and suddenly nothing else mattered but us. They said you were trouble, they said I should run, but with every touch, I fell further into a reality I couldn't turn my back on. I heard the warnings, loud and clear, but in your touch, I found a promise that no one could take away. I was pulled into a journey I couldn't resist. I was warned to keep my distance, but your touch ignited something inside me, a fire that couldn't be extinguished, no matter how hard I tried. It felt wrong. It felt like I was doing something forbidden, but your touch was so right, so undeniably perfect that I couldn't stop myself. They said to stay away from you, that it was dangerous, but your touch made me realize that sometimes danger is exactly where you find the truth. Though the world told me to be cautious, every moment with you, every touch, made me question everything I thought I knew about myself. I tried to follow the warnings, to heed the advice, but your touch was a sweet rebellion I couldn't fight against. Your touch was like a drug, and though I was warned to stay away, I found myself addicted, unable to break free. I should have listened to the warnings. I should have stayed away, but when your fingers brushed my skin, I couldn't resist the pull any longer. Every word of caution felt like a chain, yet your touch broke them all. And in your arms, I found freedom from everything that tried to hold me back. The world warned me, but the moment your lips met mine, I realized that the unthinkable was where I truly belonged. I tried to stay away, I really did, but the moment you touched me, it was as if all logic and reason disappeared. They warned me about you, but no one ever mentioned the way your touch could make everything else fade away, leaving only the two of us. Despite all the warnings, it was in your arms where I found myself, where I was willing to do the unthinkable just to feel your touch again. Your touch was the one thing I couldn't fight, no matter how many warnings I received. It was like an invisible force pulling me closer, and I didn't want to resist. I was supposed to stay away, to be cautious, but your touch was a promise of something I couldn't refuse, something I couldn't escape. They told me not to trust you, that your touch would lead me astray. But in your arms, I found the comfort I'd been searching for all along. Your touch was the kind of temptation I couldn't resist, no matter how many times I was told to turn away.